Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktananda. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining today. So let's welcome all of you saying 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much. So today I would try to cover the 4th chapter, verse number 9. So pretty much our devotees are a bit busy. So I'll try today.
Let's welcome His Grace Simhesvara Prabhu by saying Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavanda ki jai. Thank you so much. So let me share the screen. So everybody can please fold your hands. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram
Chevam Narottam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswati Vyasam.
Adho Jayamudiraye.
Jayam Udire.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nashtapareshu Adhreshu.
Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavatam Sevayam.
Bhagavadi Uttamasloke.
Bhagavati Uttam Sloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtigim.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtikim.
Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 9. You can repeat after me. Janma karma cha me divyam.
Janma karma cha me divyam.
Evam yo veti tattvadaha.
Evam yo veti tatvata.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma.
Tatvadeham punarjanma.
Naidi mamedi so Arjuna.
Naiti mameti so Arjuna.
Janma karma cha me divyam.
Janma karma cha me divyam.
Evam yo vedi tattvadaha.
Evam yo veti tatvata.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma.
Tyaktva deham punarjanma.
Naidi mam edi so Arjuna.
Naiti mameti so Arjuna.
Synonyms: Janma, birth; Karma, work; Cha, also; Me, of mind; Divya, transcendental; Evam, like this; Ya, anyone who; Veti, knows; Tattvadaha, in reality; Tyaktva, leaving aside; Deham, this body; Puna, again; Janma, birth; Na, never; Edi, does attain; Mam, unto me; Edi, does attain; Sa, he; Arjuna, or Arjuna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. It's a very beautiful, I would repeat this translation. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Purport. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from the material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyotir of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not return the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that Lord has many forms and incarnations. Advaidam Achyudam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with the conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad. Ego Deva Nitya Lilanu Rakto Bhakta Vyabhi Hridi Antaratma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attain the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can, without a doubt, attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tattvam Asi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tam eva viditva vadi mrityum edi nyanya panda vidyade ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Svedasara Upanishad 3.8. There is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with the faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Om Nagyanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salagaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Supadandikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapadagamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadhanidam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalidam Shri Vishakhanidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Sahana Bhavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamadidastu Ma Vidushavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Tatsat Om Tatsat Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. This we reach up to the 4th chapter. This chapter is known as Transcendental Knowledge. And we saw that this transcendental first verse of this Bhagavad Gita, this transcendental knowledge Krishna is revealing to Arjuna. I instructed this imperishable transcendental knowledge to sun god Vivaswan. This almost, we can say that around 120 million years ago. 120 million years ago. Then sun god Vivaswan instructed this to Manu. Then Manu in turn instructed this transcendental knowledge to Ikshvaku. And we can see that even if we trace back to the history of this Bharatavarsha, it's pretty much started from the Maharaj Ikshvaku. And then in due course of time, Arjuna, this transcendental knowledge is lost. So we can see that. So then I am revealing this transcendental knowledge again to you because of you are my dear devotee and a friend. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that also in the translation, it's mentioned that because you are not envious of me, because you are not envious of me, because you are my dear friend and a devotee, so I am revealing this transcendental knowledge unto you. So dear devotees, this is very, very important. This transcendental subject matter is very, very important. As you all know that there are 5 main subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. One is actually Ishvara. Ishvara or super soul or Paramatma or supreme controller. Then it's actually describes about the Jiva, right? The Atma and Paramatma. Then our activities, karma, then Prakriti, the material nature, and then Kala, the eternal time. So these are the 5 subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. So in this chapter onwards, Krishna is revealing that who is Ishvara, who is the supreme controller. And Krishna is revealing in such a way that this is transcendental, pure, absolute knowledge. And this is what is we need to understand. So Krishna further explains that Arjuna asking this question, that Arjuna got a doubt that, oh Krishna, we are all here. The sun god Vivaswan and Manu are elder to you. And how is that possible that you instructed this to Manu? See that the order, see that the situation. So Arjuna is saying this. Arjuna is also not completely understanding that Krishna is always exists. So, oh Krishna, oh Lord, how can I understand that? Because of both you and I are now here in this world. How can I understand that? So that's where Krishna is telling to Arjuna about all the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the truth about that Supreme Person, that Supreme Controller, and his all nature. And then Krishna says that to Arjuna, both you and I have passed many, many lifetimes, but I can remember all of them, Arjuna, but you cannot. So there is a difference. And this Krishna is revealing that. Both you and I can, I passed many, many lifetimes, but I can remember all of them. That's what is Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. He is one. He is everywhere. He is in everybody's heart. So Paramatma is one, but Jivatma are different. They take different bodies, and then they forget according to the body. the material nature they get. So then Krishna further says that yada yada hi dharmasya, whenever and wherever there is a decline of religious principles, O Arjuna, I desire myself to re-establish the religious principles. Not only to re-establish the religious principles, but to save the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya dushkrida dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavam yuge yuge. I discern myself, for Arjuna, whenever and wherever there is a really decline of religious principles, to save the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. I discern myself. I discern into this material world. So then we reached up to this verse, and Krishna is very, very, this is the first verse itself that Krishna is telling to Arjuna that the importance of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So very declaring it and establishing these principles. This is the first time Krishna is telling to Arjuna that one who knows me, and then he never, comes back into this material world upon leaving this body. Janma karma jame divyam evam yo vedi tattvadaha tektva deham punarjanma naiti mamedi. So Arjuna, Janma, karma, jame, divyam. My transcendental appearance and activities are divine, very sacred, divine. So only the Supreme Lord and his activities, his appearances, various incarnations, all are divine. So you need to understand what is divine, which is beyond this material nature or material modes of nature. Prakriti, or this Prakriti. Beyond our perception. So that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janma and Karma, the activities. So here basically it is just mentioned about but Lord doesn't have any karma. Karma here it is mentioned that and activities. But in previous chapters we saw karma. Karma has the reactions and bound to it, the action, and the reaction itself is known as karma. But here it is karma is mentioned. It is mentioned as the activities of the Lord. It's all divine. So there is no reactions to that, but it's divine. So janma karma chame divyam evam yovedi tattvadaha, one who knows this tattva. So it's always very interesting to know the principles or tattva. So Krishna is revealing in this chapter this transcendental knowledge, or the science of God. This tattva, this principle. It's very important to understand this tattva, these principles, this transcendental. And janma karma jame divyam evam yovedi tattvadaha tektva deham punarjanma. When we pass this body, tektva deham punarjanma naiti mamedi. Punarjanma naiti, that means never, that living entity never takes birth again into this material world again, but comes back to me. Naidi mam edi. So Arjuna, oh Arjuna, they will come back to me. See, what a beautiful, what a wonderful and transcendental, the information, the knowledge Krishna is revealing to us. Right? It's so wonderful, so nice. So, I mean, in this material world, there are two kinds of things. One is called jnana, another is known as vijnana. So jnana, Lord is actually, we know that Bhagavad Gita is, it's differentiated in 4 parts. One is actually, we can say that the karma yoga, then jnana yoga, then ashtanga yoga, then bhakti yoga, then there are some other yoga, because in all these aspects that we can link ourselves with the Supreme. So where we are understanding this, from this Bhagavad Gita itself, we can understand that. Okay, so we can understand that. So in the 13th chapter, that's where the Jnana Yoga starts. When the Jnana Yoga starts, there we can see that Krishna is very nicely explained what is Jnana, what is knowledge. So from that knowledge, we are acquiring the transcendental knowledge, or Vijnana. So this transcendental knowledge that we are learning now is about the Supreme Lord. That's what is called Vijnana or Vijnana. So here in the 13th chapter, Krishna says very beautifully about what is Gyan. It's very, very good to understand. Krishna says humility is knowledge, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratifications, absence of false ego, the perceptions of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with the children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search of the absolute truth. All these I declare, see, remember, please note that. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever, there may be ignorance. Devotees, please pay attention to this, right? So it's very, very important to understand humility is the first, and foremost of this. If a person is not humble, we can imagine he is not knowledgeable. A person has, he is pridelessness. He is so proud, we can say he is not knowledgeable. He does not know. Non-violence is a violent person. We can imagine that this is, this is not the knowledge. He is not knowledgeable. He is intolerant. He is not a knowledgeable person. He is very, puffed up and always egoistic. He is not a knowledgeable, but rather than a simple person, he is considered as a knowledgeable person. Approach a bona fide spiritual master. The reason for mentioning approach a bona fide spiritual master, you are taking this humble position and seeking the truth. And with that humility, that humble position is trying to seek the truth from a knowledgeable person or from a spiritual master. And if he's arrogant, he's not a knowledgeable person. Unclean person is not a knowledgeable person. One should be cleanness. The cleanness, one who is clean is a knowledgeable person. And his steadiness, one who has steadiness and determination, he is a knowledgeable person. But rather than flickering mind here and always chanchala with here and there and those, he is not knowledgeable person. One who doesn't have a self-control, he has to have control over his mind, his intelligence, his senses, his body. And if he doesn't have control over this, he's not a knowledgeable person. And renunciation of the object of sense gratification. We know that so many people around the world, they think that everything is, is best for them. That's what is this all is for. But here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling that is not knowledge. And absence of false ego, that means all we can say is everybody is pretty much in the different degree of this false ego. But one who is knowledgeable does not keep this ahangar, I, me, mine, everything. If somebody has this is known as, he's not a knowledgeable person. The perceptions of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, we are so fearful about all this, right? The perception, because of these perceptions. If you have that kind of mentality, then we are not a knowledgeable person. So if you are so much attachment, right? Attachment to this material world, this world, this material world, so many things. And if you have that attachment, we are not a knowledgeable person. Rather, we should have the understanding of detachment. Then freedom from entanglement with the children, wife, home, and the rest. The reason for this one, we can see that, in this world, even earlier, everybody has a big families and, combined families. Now it is actually reduced to the just husband, wife, and children is reduced. And there's so much of dependency and attachment, so much of attachment, and so much problem it creates because of that. And we can see that in the newspapers, just like that, right? Just for a small thing, everything is falling apart. So this because of happening, this kinds of so much of attachment. But rather, we should understand and the and the purpose of the life, and that's called Grihastha Asrama. In that Grihastha Asrama, the Lord is in the center, so our attachment dovetail towards the service of Krishna. When we are, so that is knowledge. And it is, even mindedness amid pleasance of unpleasant events. And Ashubha, Shubha, Shubha. Even there is auspiciousness, inauspiciousness, pleasance of pleasure, happiness of distress. And it's in the Bhagavad Gita says that one should know how to tolerate this. If he knows how to tolerate this, he is a knowledgeable person. Constant and unalloyed devotion to me, one who has devotion to the Supreme Lord, dear devotees, understand that he is a knowledgeable person. And then aspiring to live in a solitary place, that means that, we just go to the forest. No, we should always asanga tyaga. It says that, right? Asanga tyaga. And we should avoid this unwanted, the association into this material world. If he does that, he is a knowledgeable person. And then it is mentioned that accepting the importance of self-realization. And if he knows the value of his life, why he is suffering, why he is taking birth and death and old age and disease goes through, and if he is accepting the cultivation, importance of self-realization, he is a knowledgeable person. And philosophical search for the absolute truth, and one who is seeking, one who is understanding, trying to understand the importance of the truth. The truth is only the Supreme Lord. Everything else is his arrangement. And Krishna says, all this I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. See that? Whatever beyond this. So Krishna is giving a very complete understanding of what is knowledge. So if a person behaves and, he thinks that, or he claims that, oh, I am so knowledgeable, then we can understand that, from his behavior, attitude, is all respect, whether he is a knowledgeable person or not a knowledgeable person. So that is basically the knowledge. Then here it is Vigyan, or transcendental knowledge. Here it is says that, what is that transcendental knowledge? One who knows my transcendental nature and appearance and activities is transcendental knowledge, Vigyan. And for that, from where this Bhagavatam and all the other literatures and understanding of Krishna Katha and the pastimes of the Lord and activities of the Lord, it's all actually compiled by the sages and acharyas to propagate this fact and to take benefit, to give, to get the benefits of all humanity on this basis of this tattva. Right, basis of this tattva, this science of God, or this transcendental knowledge. So one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take birth again in this material world, but attains my transcendental abode. And this is the tattva, this is the principle, dear devotees. And our purpose of coming as a human in this world. And that is the purpose, and everything surrounds. And one who is not in this path, as is mentioned, one who is not in this path, and he is swayed away into this material world, the pool of material world of suffering and distress and happiness, pain, all this he has to go through in this material world. But the moment he comes and understands this science, this tattva, these principles, he is relieved, and his journey to Krishna is started. So there is so much, so much of scriptures that establishing these principles, as is mentioned here. It is, we know that so many empirical philosophers, speculators, impersonalists, and all, as it's mentioned that Srila Prabhupada in the purport, one may lick the bottle of a honey, but they will not have the taste of honey. They may smell it, but they will not have the taste of honey. So that's what is all. If they claim that he's a knowledgeable, he knows the Lord, he is that, he is this, but he's not really tasting the honey. he just licked the bottle of the honey, but he did not get the taste of the honey. Then who gets the taste of the honey, or who gets the taste of that Supreme Personality of Godhead? One who engages, one who tries to understand the Supreme Lord, an appearance and activities of the Lord, the Leela and the Guna and the Karma, the Kala, all what Lord is actually, trying, Lord's nature, Lord's Leela. And he only can taste the honey. He only can taste this transcendental knowledge, transcendental nature, and his positions. He only can purify himself. And it's, that's the moment we try to understand by, direct perceptions of Krishna by our loving devotional service. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about Lord has various forms, various incarnations, and his, innumerable forms, innumerable incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Advaitam, and he is one. It's not that, always, many people have these kinds of misconceptions of that Lord is so many. But it's all Lord's incarnations, the same Lord manifest in various time, place, and circumstances, right? Ede chamsya kala pumsya krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam loke mridayandi yuge yuge. In Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, it's mentioned, Srila Vyasadeva. Ede chamsya kala pumsya krishnastu bhagavan swayam. Supreme Lord is Krishna, is the Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Supreme Lord, and everything else is Ede Chamsha Kala Pumsha Kala, the Amsha. Is all incarnations or plenary incarnations, or is Amsha, or is part and parcels. But Supreme Lord is the one. When Brahma says in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murti Shakala Niyamena Tishtam Nanavataram Agarod Bhuvaneshu Kindu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramapumanyo Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma is praying to the Supreme. Ramadi Murti Shakala Niyamena Tishtam. Rama Adi Murti Niyamena Kala Nana avataram agarod bhuvaneshu kindu. There are so many incarnations, but Krishna swayam sambhava parama pumaniyo. But Krishna is sambhava parama swayam sambhava. Paramam, he is the supreme, he is the supreme person, pumaniyo. Govindam adi purusham, that supreme personality, the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Adi purusham tamaham bhajami. And we can see that, when we go further about the now onwards, Krishna is revealing us, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And later we can see that in the 5th chapter and the 6th chapter and the 7th chapter is the attaining the Supreme. And the 8th chapter, the knowledge of the Absolute. And Krishna is revealing that, and in the most confidential knowledge, the 9th chapter. And the 10th chapter, the opulences of the Absolute, the Supreme. Near itself, all that's a Bhakti Yoga and the most confidential knowledge. It's in all these chapters, Krishna is revealing in such a way that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one should know that, finally Krishna says, right? Sarvadharman Mamekam Sharanam, Mamekam, that's good enough. Because of Krishna, Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. So there are so many wonderful pastimes of Krishna. So we know that the one who worship, one who has this understanding, this tattva, these principles, he can directly enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord. Never comes back into this material world again. So as we discussed earlier, there are five kinds of liberation. One is called the Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya Mukti means one can merge into the body of the Supreme. Sayujya Mukti. And then one can get into the Salokya Mukti. One can go into the same abode of the Salokya, in the Vaikuntha planets, same Loka or the spiritual world. One can get the liberation, Salokya Mukti. There is another liberation is called the Samipya Mukti. One can go to the same abode of Krishna, or Samipya, it's very near, right? Samipya means very close, nearby the planets, Samipya Mukti. And then there is another, is called Samipya Mukti, Sarupya Mukti. Sarupya Mukti means we can have the same rupa of Krishna. Sarupya Mukti, and those who are liberating such, they all get the same form of Krishna, except the Kaustuba, and then there is, there is a hairline, Srivalsa and Kaustuba, and the gem Kaustuba gem, and there is a Srivalsa, that's a hairlines where Mother Lakshmi resides. Apart from this, the one who gets the Sarupya Mukti, and they attain the same form of the Lord, and that's in Vaikuntha planets mentioned that. See, those who are liberating, getting that Sarupya Mukti, get this four-handed Vishnu form, and likes that. Then there is another mukti is called Srashti. Srashti means whatever the liberated soul thinks that I want to become like this, and he can become like that. He can decide what he wants to become. So these five kinds of liberations are there. So, but the one who worship, one who understand this principle of the Supreme Lord Tattva, the one who knows my transcendental appearance and activities, then upon leaving the body, he will not come back into this, but come to me. That's what Krishna is saying, that attains my eternal abode. Krishna says, attains my eternal abode. One can attain the same loka, the salokya, samipya, and these kinds of liberations one can attain, one who knows the Krishna. That's why this transcendental literature, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Puranas, all mentioning about this one principle, one tattva, one should understand and engage in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. We know that the transcendental appearance, how the Lord appeared, right? So it's very, very transcendental. It's very, beyond our material perceptions. Lord appeared before the Mother Devaki and Vasudeva in the four-handed form, right? We heard that before classes, and we also understand this from the Bhagavatam. Lord appeared before Mother Vasudeva, so Mother Devaki and Vasudeva. And then Lord appears as in various other incarnations, in various time, place, and circumstances. But Supreme Lord comes, Krishna comes once in a day of Brahma, as it is. So we know that one day of Brahma has 1,000 yuga cycle. Can you imagine? One day of Brahma has 1,000 yuga cycle, and this one yuga cycle is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Satya Yuga is almost 1.96 million years, and the Treta Yuga is 1.2 almost million, and the Dwapara Yuga is 864,000 years, and then Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. It's exactly the double of that Kali Yuga. The Dwapara Yuga is the double of Kali Yuga, and then Treta Yuga is the triple of the Kali Yuga, and then 4 times the Satya Yuga is 4 times the time of Kali Yuga. This is the one Yuga cycle. So like that, there are 1,000 Yuga cycle for the one day of Brahma, and in that one day of Brahma is called Kalpa, right? In that Kalpa, one day of Brahma, Sri Krishna appears as he is, original appearance. Now, all the other times, Krishna also appears, but not the original Krishna, not original Supreme Lord, but the other forms of the same Lord Krishna, but not the original Supreme Personality of God. So that happened. There is mentioned that Lord appears almost the 28th Chadra Yuga, the 28th Chadra Yuga, and that's what is going on now. One day of Brahma is almost, almost 51 age. And we are in that 51 age. In the one day of Brahma, there is 72 Manvantaras. And then in this 72 Manvantaras, there are 14 Manus ruling, administer. And then we are actually now come to the stage of Vaivasvata Manu. That is a seventh Manu. And that is, in the seventh Manu. And there's just half of the, one Yuga cycle of, or one day, one Yuga cycle of, um, um, no, sorry, 1 day of Brahma, right? A 72 Yuga cycle. So half of it just going on right now. So just this 28th, Yuga cycle in the 28th one, and that's where the Krishna appears. That's just past 5,000 years ago, immediately after Lord Chaitanya appears. So in this 1 day of Brahma, Lord appears, Supreme Lord appears as he is. And Lord reveals such a wonderful, as is mentioned, that there is Leela Avatar. So sometimes people ask, what is this Leela Avatar is? When Lord appears, as in the form of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, as the Balaram, as the Malsya, Kurma, Varaha. These are all Leela, not the karma. Basically, it's Leela. Then there is Yuga. So there is every Yuga, there is Lord appears as a Yuga. Like, every Yuga there is, in Kali Yuga, there is Lord appears as Kalki, right? So in Treta Yuga, Lord appeared as Lord Rama. And then in Satyuga, Lord appears in the form of Narasimha, and other incarnations were there. There is Kurma Avatar was there, and there is Varaha Avatar was there, Rekta Varaha and Sweda Varaha, those avatars was there. Incarnations were there. So these are the Yuga avatars, as well as Leela avatars, is there. Then there is also, as I mentioned, there is Manvantara avatars for the Supreme Lord. So when this Manu changes, these 14 Manus, they ruled for 72 Yuga cycle, and then everything changes. In this world, the administration changes, Indra changes, all this Devadas changes. And basically, Indra is a position, not the real person. There could be a different name for Indra, but Indra is a position, the king of heaven. The position of the king of heaven is known as Indra. Like we have a police, like a DGP, but his name is different, but it's a DGP, or he's likes that. He's a king, but it's a different name. So it's like Indra is like, so that all changes, everything changes accordingly. So who controls, who arranges everything? The Supreme Lord controls and arranges everything, these aspects of it. So it's very important, dear devotees, and there are so many wonderful pastimes of the Lord when Lord appears in this world. And we can see that from the different, very, very, different devotees. You know that Tukaram Maharaj is very pure devotee of the Lord. Lord appeared before Tukaram Maharaj, and one day Tukaram Maharaj was very much sick, couldn't attend the Sayana Egadashi. That's where in Pandharpur, that the Lord appeared on that same day. Tukaram Maharaj couldn't go, but Tukaram Maharaj wrote a letter with his friend, and this friend came and submitted to the Supreme Lord, the Lord Vittal. And then Lord understood, and Lord immediately ready to go to Lord Tukaram, but Rukmini Devi stopped. What about these millions of people around the queue? They also came to see your darshan. They said, when the evening comes, night comes, when the altar closes, then nobody won't be there. Then that time we can go. Lord Krishna, Lord Vittal, and Rukmini Mai, and climbed on the Garuda and appeared before Tukaram Maharaj. And Tukaram Maharaj followed the feet of the Lord and said that, oh Lord, I just wanted to convey this, and I am so sorry that, and I couldn't come, but I never expected this, that you took this much trouble to come to me. And as soon as Garuda came, Lord came, that all the, the tiredness and all the disease is gone. That Tukaram Maharaj, when the time comes, Tukaram Maharaj didn't live for many years. But when the time comes, And Tukaram Maharaj and all the dear associates of Tukaram Maharaj, and Tukaram Maharaj said, my Lord is coming, I'm going. Tukaram Maharaj invited to his wife, are you coming? Everybody thought that, he's just bluffing. But Tukaram Maharaj came in the bank of, the Chandrabhaga, and Lord appeared there with this Garuda, with the beautiful chariot. And Tukaram Maharaj entered into the chariot, in the chariot, and went, ascended to the, in the spiritual sky. And this was seeing, and this was returned, just disappeared. This was the same case for Pundanam. There is a pure devotee of the Lord in Guruvayur. Same, said that my Lord is coming. Anybody is coming, and requested to his wife to join. But no, but the servant, the maid servant in the home of Pundanam was very, faithful to Pundanam and worshipping in the Supreme Lord and very faithful to the Lord. Pundanam said, my Lord is coming. Whoever come with me can come. This maid servant said, I am coming. And Pundanam came out, and Lord came and just disappeared like that. And then all of a sudden, this maid servant also just passed the body. And this place is still there. If you go to that Kerala, there is, Malappuram district, and it is still there. This place, the Lord appeared. There are so many instances of their devotees. Even if you take the Tirupati temple, that there is a Kanagadas thing is mentioned that many times. The Kanagadas, the dear devotee of the Lord, he was is from a lower caste. Those periods of time, the upper caste never allows the lower caste to enter the temple. But this Kanagadas had such a desire to see the Supreme Lord Udupi Krishna. And that Udupi Krishna is even, Madhavacharya brought this Udupi Krishna from, this. There is a nice, wonderful story behind this Udupi Krishna. That Mother Rukmini was worshipping Udupi Krishna, the Krishna in Dwaraka, and entire Vasudeva was worshipping, everybody was worshipping this Krishna. And then when the Dwaraka became immersed into the water, and this was this was there, and then it's actually, immersed into the mud. But those time a merchant was coming from the Gujarat area, and he was, getting all this stuff from the Gujarat and then selling into the south side. And one time Madhavacharya was on the shore, and it's a Sandhya Vandan, and so that one ship is coming. All on a sudden, the ship started to agitate because there is, very severe thunderstorm, and all on a sudden. But Madhavacharya just, he just waved his, veil, his clothes, and this ship, everything is cleared now. The sky is cleared, thunderstorm is gone, and this captain of the ship was very pleased, and he came nearby. And Madhavacharya said, this captain requested to Madhavacharya, I would like to give you something. I brought this chunk of clay from, it may be useful. And Madhavacharya said, yes, I would, please bring it. So when they brought out this chunk of clay, they didn't know that what is inside. All on a sudden, it's broke apart. All on a sudden, it's broke apart. The beautiful deity of Krishna, that's Udupi Krishna. Madhavacharya installed in Udupi temple, and since that time, in this Kanagadas, it's happened, maybe 100, 200 years back. And this Kanagadas came to see the Supreme Lord, and then, nobody was allowed, but he just went. There was a festival was happening. He just emerged into the crowd and got into the temple, and somebody saw him that he is inside. He's not allowed in the temple. And these people came and beaten him and kind of and tied to a tree, and everybody was pelting stones and things like that. Kanagadas was very much in tears and broke his heart and cried to the Lord, Lord, I just came to see you, and this is what is I got. I just wanted to see you. This what is I got. And on those days, we know that every temple, the deity is always facing towards the east, and everybody comes through the, the entrance, the main entrance on the east. So then immediately the deity, the Udupi Krishna, turned back to the Kanagadas, where he was tied into a tree, and all on a sudden the walls are broken apart, and the Udupi Krishna gave the darshan to the Kanagadas. And still that is when if you go, you cannot go to the main, and that is since then it is closed completely. And everybody is now has to see through that the hole of the window. And this is what is the devotees, the Lord. And there's so many examples. We know that in Jagannath Puri, the Lord appeared in the form of a wood. Lord appeared in the form of a wood. And the King Prataparudra had to come. But no, it was not allowing anybody to touch this log, this wood. King Prataparudra had to come and touch the wood. Then only it came out from the water. So there are so many instances like this, and we can see that the devotees, if you take any temples, the Lord, there are so many pastimes. Even it happens now with the devotees, how Lord reciprocate. This is what is dear devotees. It's it's divine. It's unexplainable. Mundane people cannot explain all this. But it's divine. So one who knows this, hears this, understands this, they'll have such and it's Lord as establishing and proclaiming this, that one who knows my transcendental appearance and activities never comes back into this world again. So this is the transcendental truth and the knowledge and principle and tattva Lord is revealing to us. Please take it seriously, and anything, anywhere we get the opportunity to hear, to talk, to speak, to chant, to serve, is remember this is Lord's mercy. As otherwise, as in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that they have to go through thousands of lifetimes. Then finally they have to get a mercy of the Lord, even just to hear. But we have such a wonderful opportunity to hear the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord. So it is very, very, we are very fortunate. It's very mercy of the Supreme Lord that we have this opportunity. We should be very grateful for that. And as we go along, that we understand, we hear this, the transcendental appearance and activities. That's good enough. That's good enough. You don't need to become a so big devotee or likes that so much of but just to be in a humble, as I mentioned the verse 8 to 12. What is knowledge? Just follow, and based on that knowledge, we can attain this transcendental knowledge, this about the Supreme Lord. So then we can attain the Supreme Lord. And that's guaranteed. It's the Lord's proclaiming it. That's guaranteed. There's no doubt into that, dear devotees. As Krishna says that Ananyas Chindayandu Mam Echana Mam Pariyupasade Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogatshemam Mahamyagam. One who worship me, Ananyas Chindayandu Mam Echana Mam Upasade, one who worship me with unalloyed, unconditional, with all this worshipping me, and I would carry them what they have, and I would provide them what they lack. And Krishna says that I would protect them in all circumstances, in all respect. And Mahatma Nams to Mam Bhakta Devim Prakriti Masradaga, the great devotees are under the protection of the Supreme Lord. And this is the only truth. Then this is the truth that we always keep it in our heart. And this is the truth. So with the time before, I would stop here. Thank you so much for hearing and listening and having this wonderful association. So nice that we can discuss. At least we have some life, we have some breath and some energy that everybody comes together, that we can spend and utilize for the service of the Supreme, hearing and chanting and remembering and offering all this. As Krishna says that, right? Manmanamo madbhakto madhyachi mam namaskuru. Mame Vaishyati Satyam De Pradijane Priyosime. He is very dear to me, such devotees. Pradijane Priyosime is very dear to me. And we'll see that all this detailed sections of this into the later chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much. Very nice. And I would stop here, and I would like to hear from you. Have any realizations, any discussions, any comments? Would you like to add? Any questions if you have? Hare Krishna. Nothing to add? Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. And do pranam or goes to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the purport that you were reading before, I think it's 13.8.
8 and 12. 8 to
correct.
12.
Or 8, correct. With starting with humility.
Yeah.
I think the entire purport is connected because as far as like, if we do not try to understand self-realization in terms that we are Atma or soul, in search of that knowledge, we need to approach a bona fide spiritual master. Because if we do not, then we could easily get lost to other philosophies like the Mayavadi philosophies and so many different philosophies, and then we'll get stuck in the circle. So first there has to be that question within us, where who am I, as far as like a spirit soul. Then in order to get the proper guidance, we need a bona fide spiritual master, and once we get the bona fide spiritual master to guide us, that that we are the soul. Because even the Mayavadis say, they don't say we are soul, but they have a similar philosophy as far as like energy or soul, but they do not acknowledge God or the supreme soul, so they can easily misguide us. But once we realize that we are soul, spirit, soul, or Atma, and then acknowledge Krishna as the supreme soul, then I think the humility will automatically be there, as far as because then we acknowledge that there's someone that is the cause, and we are just a part and parcel of the supreme cause. Until then, there cannot be no humility. And once we acknowledge that we are soul, then automatically we will no longer have pride, because then we know that we are not this body. The false ego kicks in or starts because we think we are this body, and then we associate everything as far as my house, my car, whatever it is, my wife, and then we get attachment to everything that is a direct extension of us. But once we acknowledge the fact that we are spirit soul, and then we get the proper guidance from a bona fide spiritual master, then it makes the obtaining the knowledge easier.
Yeah, agree. That's true. And that's your point is very much establishing in this chapter itself. In the 4th chapter, 34th verse, Krishna says that Tadvidi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya ubadeshandiye jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Approach a bona fide spiritual master. And Arjuna is asking this. And how can we, understand this, in a very pure way, pure manner? Krishna is saying that, yes, approach a spiritual master, tadvidi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya, incur submissively and offer your service unto that such pure souls, such pure devotees, and so that they can reveal the truth because they have seen the truth. Tadvidi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshandiye jnanam, this transcendental knowledge, upadeshandiye jnanam, because they are seen the truth. Jnaninas tattva darshinaha, they have seen the truth, the transcendental truth. Yes, very true. But at the same time, there is also that a principle of approaching a spiritual master is that we need to have two things, that endeavor and the mercy. Unless we put the endeavor, right? So the endeavor, like as we know that the Mother Yashoda and then Lord Damodara pastime. Lord Damodara, Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna, Lord Damodara, and trying with our, I can get it, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. This I, the false ego, as long as here, and then even it is there, if we so much we try, unless the mercy of the Lord is not there, nothing is possible. Even sitting here and listening and reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting holy name, it's not possible. And think about in this world that there are 7 billion, people. But out of 7 billion, maybe a handful, maybe you can say maybe a million. And out of million, how many actually really come and understand this? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit edadi siddhaye edadadabi siddhanam kachit mameti sattvanaha. Krishna says in the 7th chapter. Manushyanam sahasreshu, there are millions of people. Manushyanam sahasreshu, and that out of many, many millions of people, one may know me. And out of thousands of people who knows me, and completely one may know, completely understand, and in engaging in loving devotional service unto me. So these are the situations. So we need the mercy, of course, and mercy comes from our endeavor. Unless and until we endeavor, we put our steps towards it, and then mercy comes. Without mercy, also, we cannot put more efforts. As it says that, the mercy of Krishna, we get a guru. See that? And by the mercy of guru, we get Krishna. See that? So endeavor leads to the mercy. From the mercy, we get a guru. With the guru, we get Krishna. It's very important that we put our effort, not just that we approach a spiritual master and we don't have any endeavor. Then it's a key, actually. We have to put our endeavor, all respect in all time. And we, as it's mentioned, that it's very wonderful, and coming and hearing this Bhagavad Gita is an endeavor. Getting up in the morning and chanting the holy name is an endeavor. Taking time to read Bhagavad Gita, hearing Bhagavad Gita is an endeavor. Chanting the holy name is an endeavor. And worshipping the Supreme and association of devotees and doing the service in various ways is all endeavor. So what happens? Mercy comes. When the mercy comes, we get guru, we get the spiritual master. And then when we serve the spiritual master, then what happens? We see the truth, we understand the truth, and then we attain Krishna. As Krishna says into the Transcendental Knowledge further in the 7th chapter, Bahunam Janmanamande Jnanavan Mam Prabhadhyande Vasudevam Sarvamidhi Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So what is that knowledge? Jnanavan, that I mentioned, that's mentioned, Krishna is mentioning that under understanding this transcendental knowledge, one who knows my transcendental appearance and activities, that's the knowledge. So endeavor is very key, that we should not think that, we do have the mercy and also, okay, so we got a guru, so that everything is done, everything is good now, or I don't need to do anything else. No, we should try we never think that, we do have anything, but we always try and endeavor for the service of the Lord. When we endeavor the service, engaging into the service, then only we can, we should have that heart and the desire for the service. We should endeavor for, we should eagerly, approach. We should eager for to get the service. We should eager for to listen. Should eager for chanting the holy name. And that's what is this human is for. And then only we can perfect our life and make our life successful. Otherwise, we can again, as it's mentioned that, in this lifetime itself, when we pass our body, we can attain the spiritual abode. We do have such, that endeavor, such a devotion for the Lord. Thank you for bringing that approach. It's so nice.
Prabhuji, I realized that in order to obtain the mercy, we need discipline, because if we do not have discipline, and
Yep.
when I say discipline, I mean that, like you said, every morning we should wake up and chant, read Gita, read Bhagavatam. But if we do not have discipline in place, so for example, in the morning time, we may feel, if the weather's cold outside, we may feel, hey, I don't want to get up this morning, I'll sleep. Then we will not get up and chant. So then we do not have the discipline, meaning that we will not chant, and therefore chances are we will not get the mercy. So we have to have the discipline as well in place, to wake up every morning, to eat not eat onion garlic, to not get intoxicated, because sometimes people think, oh, once in a while it's okay, but the problem is, since there's no discipline, Maya will immediately kick in, like will take over. Like Srila Prabhupada once said that you give Maya a little bit of room, Maya will just knows how to take control. So we need absolute discipline in order to obtain mercy. Without the discipline, we cannot obtain mercy from Krishna, I think.
Yeah, it's very true, very true. There is a nice Arabian story. Like one merchant was coming through a desert. Nighttime, he became so much it's cold, in Arabic. In desert, the cold is so severe. And he put a tent. He had a camel, and camel is outside, right? So he put a campfire inside. He put a fire. He was getting this beautiful, it's nicely inside. This camel told to this merchant, oh sir, oh boss, can I put my leg inside this tent? I'm so cold. He said, okay, you just put. After some time, this camel asked, can I put my other leg? Said, okay, there is space, you can put it. And eventually he said, can I put the other legs? Yes. And he put his 4 legs. He is completely inside the tent, and this merchant is outside of the tent. And this is a story like this, that at the moment we give the space for the Maya will completely occupy and push us out, from our spiritual, endeavor. So it's always, we should be cautious and careful. That's why Srila Prabhupada put this Krishna conscious movement. It's very, very absolute and very meaningful. It's not that, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, why don't we put God conscious? Lord Srila Prabhupada said, God is a general term. He said, it's a general name for God. Yes, everything is God. But Krishna is very specific, and he's the supreme personality of Godhead. So it's very, very important that many times we say God conscious, but instead of, we should be always Krishna conscious. So Krishna is the supreme. And as all the scriptures mention the same way, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And it's so beautiful. There are so many, pastimes of Krishna, so many reflections and experiences of the devotees, that how they are interacting with it. So many. You can see in Vrindavan and Srila, 6 Goswamis and Villamangalam Thakur. So many wonderful. One day Villamangalam Thakur came to the Guruvayur temple and Lord was not there. Lord went to nearby, there is a stage where beautiful this what is called folk dance is happening. Krishna went and beautifully watching, and this wonderful thing. There is a temple in my nearby place called Sri Vallabha temple. Villamangalam Thakur came and we looked at the altar and Krishna is not there. Krishna went nearby, say, go and watching this Kadagali. It's Kadagali means there is a folk kinds of art in Kerala. And sometime when Krishna is looked at the altar, he's not there. He went out and playing with the children. So devotees see Krishna, and there are so many wonderful. And there is another devotee called Kururama in Guruvayur. Krishna directly came to serve Kururama. You know what? These are all happening in various, it's not so far. I given this example of there is a devotee in Sarangi just 70 years ago, 70 years ago in Barsana, a temple. Radharani came as a daughter of the Sarangi and then disappeared at the time of Krishna came and then got married and disappeared after that. There's so many pastimes, and still in Vrindavan there is a Nidhivan. And if you go to Nidhivan, you can see that there is a temple called Ranga Mahal. Ranga Mahal is actually, the Pujari put everything so nicely arranged. All the Ranga Mahal means that's the place where Krishna decorating Radharani every night. So this place, Pujari put everything, all this kajal and bindi and aina, the mirror and the powder and everything. So nicely, bangles, rose. And if you go to that temple, so many people bring all these things every day. So Pujari arranges nicely and close the altar. He goes away. If he comes next morning, everything is discarded, like it's disarrayed, and it's everywhere in all these places. This is happening in every day. You can see that even twins, even the trees and the vines, there is Krishna and Radha, and so many things are out there. It's all happening. It's the devotees. It's beyond our the perceptions or materialize, but that's the truth. So it's a fact. So it's wonderful to hear about the pastimes of Krishna, the association of the devotees, hearing it. So wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing that up, Divyesh Prabhu. Anybody else has anything to add? Any comments? Okay. If there is nothing further, then we can conclude today's section. Let's pay our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya padidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Nandara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. Thank you, dear devotee. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank
Hare Krishna.
you, Simhesvara. Hare Krishna.